On Friday, the extremist right-wing Supreme Court made a ruling on birthright citizenship. Kind of. Basically, they ruled that the lower courts could not use nationwide injunctions to block potentially illegal executive orders. Now, this ties into birthright citizenship because nationwide injunctions have been used to block Trump's birthright citizenship executive order. So now the 6-3 ruling from the Heritage Foundation Court was met with, of course, fierce dissent from Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who wrote this: "No right is safe in the new legal regime the court creates. Today, the threat is to birthright citizenship. Tomorrow, a different administration may try to seize firearms from law-abiding citizens or prevent people of certain faiths from gathering to worship." And of course, that will never be Christianity. No, it will likely be Muslims. Let's be honest. Sikhs, whatever. Now, she added, with the stroke of a pen, the president has made a solemn mockery of our Constitution. The court's ruling, of course, aligns with arguments that Solicitor General D. John Sauer made on behalf of the Trump administration when he said that the lower courts should not have the ability to put a check, to use these injunctions, even temporarily, to put a check on Trump's executive orders. Now remember, this aligns with Project 2025 and their effort to give even more authority to the executive branch, to essentially make Trump a dictator, a king. And that's what they're doing. The Supreme Court is helping with that by preventing the district courts from issuing their injunctions. In Friday's majority opinion, Justice Amy Coney Barrett had called out the use of these injunctions while noting that in the first 100 days of Trump's administration, there had been at least 23 universal injunctions that had been issued. Gee, I wonder why that is. Could it be because Trump keeps doing unconstitutional shit? Probably. Now, look, I know that there's apparently a debate on both sides about the use of nationwide injunctions. Certainly, I have been angry at some of the decisions that have been used, that have been handed down from some of these lower courts. Okay. Again, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. I just look at the student loan, like the injunctions against student loan or student debt relief. Okay. There's that. Okay. Those were nationwide injunctions from some of the lower courts as well. And so I didn't like any of those. But it is kind of important that these district courts can put a block or a check on the executive branch to try to restrict or prevent government overreach. Unfortunately, we no longer have that. Instead, district courts are now, well, since they are no longer allowed to grant nationwide injunctions, it now falls upon the particular plaintiff in the particular area that they launched their court challenge. So that's what the Trump administration has argued, that, oh yeah, no, if you seek relief against one of my executive orders, then okay, and you win, then it should only be granted to you in that particular district. Oh, now Barrett agreed with that argument, saying that the question is not whether an injunction offers complete relief to everyone potentially affected by an allegedly unlawful act. It is whether an injunction will offer complete relief to the plaintiffs before the court. Quote, here, prohibiting enforcement of the executive order against the child of an individual pregnant plaintiff will give that plaintiff complete relief. Her child will not be denied citizenship. Extending the injunction to cover all other similarly situated individuals would not render her relief any more complete. So basically, she said that, in the court had said that, individuals now have to bring their own cases before the courts and should no longer be able to rely on broad injunctive relief, even though they would have the same case as other people or the same situation. That's it. Great. Great. Now, this means, of course, the courts are going to get a hell of a lot busier. But it's not just that. As Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson noted in her dissent, the majority opinion ignores the logistical difficulties that would come for many plaintiffs who happen to lack resources to be able to launch their own lawsuits, and of course, people who cannot access the courts. She writes this: the wealthy and well-connected will have little difficulty securing legal representation, going to court, and obtaining their own injunctive relief in their own name if the executive violates their rights. Consequently, the zone of lawlessness the majority has now authorized will disproportionately impact the poor, the uneducated, the unpopular, i.e. those who may not have the wherewithal to lawyer up, and will all too often find themselves beholden to the executive's whims. This is yet another crack in the foundation of rule of law. And that's it. There it is. Yes, helping the rich and powerful while screwing over the poor and powerless. That is exactly the result that they were looking for. This is what Vought and Project 2025 wanted, and they got it. It doesn't matter to them that the court didn't touch on the merits of Trump's birthright citizenship order, because they're out there saying, well, we didn't outlaw birthright citizenship. It's just that now, if you are deported or whatever, then you're going to have to go and get your own injunctive relief. That's right. You're going to have to do it on your own. Go and get a lawyer and then sue and go to court, do all that stuff. And by the way, if you win, which you likely will, it only applies to you and not anyone else. Oh. Again, it doesn't matter to them that they didn't even discuss the court. The 14th Amendment's guarantee that anyone born on U.S. soil or within territories is entitled to citizenship at birth. Nor will it matter that they didn't acknowledge the over 100 years of precedent that upholded the interpretation of that amendment. The Trump administration structured this case in such a way as to have them avoid asking these questions. Okay? So they didn't even have to rule on the merits. All they said is, well, look, you got a problem with it, you can go to court. But no more broad injunctive relief, okay? No more of that. And of course, the reason they did this is because they would lose on the merits. So instead, they did it in a way to make it more difficult for the people that are impacted by these orders to get relief when his order formally takes effect, which is about 30 days from now. So in about 30 days, things are going to get crazy. Again, since the merits of birthright citizenship itself were not decided by the court, we're going to have a lot of legal challenges. But even so, expect many children who were born here to be swiftly exiled. Not deported. You can't deport someone to a country that they don't belong to. That's exile. They are technically citizens. And again, when they go to court, they'll probably win their cases. Very, very likely they'll win their cases because of birthright citizenship. But you have to get to court and adjudicate it first. So there you go. And that's it. That's it. They will now all be expected to individually challenge this in court. And so, but before that happens, very likely you're going to see a lot of them be immediately taken by ICE and disappeared before they can even get to the courts. So how can you challenge the courts? How can you how can you challenge ICE? How can you challenge deportation under this if you've already been disappeared? That's it. And that was the plan. That's how they did this. That's how this is structured. I mean, look, Ketanji Brown Jackson, I mean, she pointed it out perfectly in saying, who's got the resources for this? Yeah, well, it's certainly not the people who fled other countries to come to the U.S. for safety and then ended up having a kid here. It's not those people, but it will be those who are born to wealthy parents. Of course. Of course. Now, Trump celebrated this win on Truth Social. He said, giant win in the United States Supreme Court. Even the birthright citizenship hoax has been indirectly hit hard. Indirectly. It had to do with babies of slaves, same year, not the scamming of our immigration process. Congratulations to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Solicitor General John Sauer, and the entire DOJ. In the dissent from Sotomayor, joined by Jackson and Kagan, the justices noted that since the founding of America, children born in the U.S. are U.S. citizens. Quote, that has been the legal rule since the founding. And it was the English rule well before then. This court once attempted to repudiate it, holding in Dred Scott v. Sanford that the children of enslaved Black Americans were not citizens. To remedy that grievous error, the states passed in 1866 and Congress ratified in 1868 the 14th Amendment's Citizenship Clause, which enshrined birthright citizenship in the Constitution. There it has remained, accepted and respected by Congress, by the executive, and this court until today. Yeah. What the Trump administration has done, she continued, is gamesmanship with the Constitution and the government, makes no attempt to hide it. Yet shamefully, this court plays along. And that is exactly because they were picked to do this. That's the entire reason they were picked for this. The majority on this court was handpicked by the Heritage Foundation to deliver on their agenda. And they have done so again and again and again. I mean, this court is not a legitimate court. They are activist judges. You know, the same thing that they accused the liberals on the court, when we had a liberal majority in the court, they would accuse them. Oh, activist judges, activist judges. Oh, you're all activist judges. Well, what is this? They're activist judges. Now, that said, I guess now after this, we have the ability to maybe limit right-wing decisions. After all, doesn't it cut both ways? It should. It should. I mean, of course, they're going to try to argue that it doesn't, but if you have environmental regulations that were stopped by a nationwide injunction from the, I don't know, Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, well, I guess it shouldn't apply anymore, right? I mean, except for anyone but the plaintiff in that case. Everyone else, subject to those regulations. What about religious exemptions for the rules, right? Should that no longer apply to anyone, to everyone? I guess it shouldn't. So, except for the plaintiffs. That's what the court said. So there you go. What about the state gun bans? I guess those should apply too. California, go ahead and ban guns, except for the plaintiff. They can have their guns. But no one else can, because broad injunctive relief. I'm just saying, what about student loan relief, right? Why not? Go for broke. If you're going to open the door, you might as well go through it. Might as well. We can no longer be held hostage by decisions from the insane conservative Fifth Circuit, right? Right? I'm just saying. Look, the biggest strength and the biggest weakness of this administration is their overreach. And they have been overreaching massively. And this is the newest example of how. Again, they control all the branches of Congress. Of the government. They control the Congress, they control the White House, and they control the courts. And so, of course, they're massively, massively overreaching. And yes, they are getting away with it right now. They are. But there may come a day where all of this ends up catching up to them. And suddenly, you have a situation where the shoe ends up on the other foot. And when that happens, watch out. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.